Welcome to the Alpha Type Podcast. I'm your host, Git. I'm here with EJR and Caesar. We started this about 7 minutes ago. Caesar said really smart stuff already. You missed out on it. We're going to try to reproduce this greatness. But this Alpha Type Podcast...
Spaces in the history of spaces.
Only for the two of us. Only for the three of us, though.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, we got some viewers coming back in now, so we're up to 2. We're getting there. They'll all roll back in. But while they do, Alpha Type Podcast, we meet every Tuesday, Thursday. We talk with real founders like Caesar, people who are actually trying to build something real and create value in this space and have been here for a long time and probably going to continue to be here. So that's the kind of projects we're going to promote here. Super excited to welcome once again Caesar from REKTECH back to the show. Welcome, sir.
Git, Edward, very nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep,
yeah, right on.
Same here, brother.
So I said something like, we're really excited to talk with you because this is one of the projects that you come in and it's unique. I can't say, oh, hey, did you check out REKTECH? It's kind of like this or kind of like that. There's really nothing to compare it to. It's its own thing, very unique. And that was the setup, and we're trying to recreate that. And I want to hand back to you and say, talk to us about where this thing came from. Because it's not brand new, but you've been working on it for a while. So take us back, give us a little bit of background on the project.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing that I oftentimes say when we talk about REKTECH is both the gift and the curse of being a very kind of unique project is that it's this thing where Web3 is like really all about metas and what's the meta right now and how can you catch the meta, make money on the meta, so on and so forth. And I think the thing with REKTECH is that because it's relatively unique, it's very hard to copy. And when something's really hard to copy, it's really hard for a meta to form around it. But at the same time, it does give us a lot of space that we can really capture or take up because there really isn't anything like us. And I think having a really kind of high quality product and all that kind of stuff, especially in the Web3 space, is something that does also set us apart, generally speaking, which we're really proud of. And then, Git, like you said, REKTECH is like our like kind of 2025 swing on a concept that we effectively tested last cycle. Not everyone knows, but a decent amount of people know that we actually were the team behind a project called Internet Game back in 21, 22, which was effectively known as like the Squid Game of NFTs. And so the way that it worked was we did a mint, and then we took the large majority of the mint revenue and put towards this crazy prize pool where we put people through this kind of like Squid Game-like experience where we had one game per day. Each game was open for 24 hours. Each game only took 5 minutes to play, but it had this like high stakes feeling of like life or death type of experience where you were like really just battling against thousands of people from all around the world for the chance to win multiple Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, Cool Cats, Doodles, all the kind of craziest NFTs, which were at the time, again, like I said, almost restrictive for most people, right? Most people couldn't afford $150 ETH NFT. So I think it was one of those crazy kind of moments where a lot of people, especially early on, they're like, is this real? Like, how do we know these people are going to give away these NFTs and all that kind of fun stuff? All in all, we always joke that we lost years of our life running season 1 of Internet Game, but I think it was all worth it because, one, a lot of people described it as one of the most fun things they've ever done in Web3. And then 2, it brought us to this point today where we really got to take a look at, hey, if we were to do Internet Game again, keep the good, get rid of the bad, and then take into account the evolutions of the market, what would we build? And that's really where we are today.
Yeah.
One sec, just something you said there, a few things you said there, but I'm going to comment on one. It's funny, I think Internet Game, when pandemic came out, and it was like really exciting at first. I don't know what happened with it. I didn't even do anything with it. It was sending the virus tokens, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Josh Ong described it, I think, as Internet Game. He's on our team, actually, at REKTECH, so he's one of our co-founders. And I never heard of Internet Game at the time, so Josh knows it really well, so I just wanted to say that. But I am going to look it up and see. And then also, before the blackout, you had said something about Squid Game. So maybe just repeat that part because that was interesting too.
Yeah, for sure. That's like kind of part of the longer intro.
So basically, paying attention.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that basically the kind of the origin of Internet Game, and again, this is like during kind of like NFT mania, right? So every single other day, there's a new 10,000, 8,000 collection coming out with jam-packed utility, and everyone's really just like going for this entire space. And Jordan and I, my co-founder and I, we were both like participating in it. We'd both been in the space, I guess, since 2014, 2015. And for us, we were really exploring it. We hadn't really started anything yet, but we were really thinking about, like, hey, if we were to work on something together, like the thing that was really interesting for us was this idea of interactive entertainment, this idea of people having fun from the kind of, I guess, from the comfort of their own homes. And we're like exploring all these different ideas. And the two things that we talk about are like these, like this kind of crazy intersection between this NFT mania of aspirational communities and assets that you really like. I really want this picture of a monkey, but I can't afford one. That was like this big component to it, right? A lot of people really did feel this whole like NFTs in a lot of ways made you feel poor, right? You're like, man, this picture of a penguin is so cool. I really want this picture of a penguin, but it costs tens of thousands of dollars. And so I think that was like a really kind of crazy thing to be happening in the state of humanity. But then the other thing that happened that was really interesting was, again, there was this tiny little show on Netflix that came out of South Korea and then captured the world by storm. And it's no prizes for guessing. The show was obviously called Squid Game. And so the idea behind it was like, all right, cool. I think that when you do see a piece of fiction that does capture the entire globe, like it just captures everybody's attention and all that kind of stuff, especially something where it's in a foreign language and all that kind of stuff, there's something really special about that. And then the theory that we have oftentimes is that when you do have something like that does really capture everybody, it's because of this like vicarious desire, right? Like we're not, or less so secretly. It's like, yo, I would totally play a bunch of kind of simple games, like in a life or death format for the chance to win $30 million. I could totally do that. I joke that the nicer version of that is Harry Potter, right? Like when Harry Potter came out, we all secretly were checking our mailboxes for our invitation to Hogwarts. Like, I think that's the beauty of fiction. And I think so when we saw the kind of the response that people had to that television show, that's really what got us thinking about, like, how could we bring Squid Game to the internet and give people this experience of this like life or death, like kind of game show type vibe. And then we realized that taking the kind of Squid Game concept and marrying it with the kind of aspirational desire for NFTs was this like very interesting, again, get set more unique type of experience. So like in this world of PFP collections that are coming out every other day, then all of a sudden here comes this thing called Internet Game, which is like this like NFT game show. And that's really what got us our start. Yeah, that's like our origin story.
Yeah, right on. And that was, so you were back, that was 21 was when you started it. And then between then and now, what's been going on? Have you just been iterating on that and pushing out different ways? Like what's happening?
Yeah. So I think that's the other thing that was really cool, right? Even though I think Internet Game was like a project, right? Ed was saying that he knows a number of people that know us, but like Ed's like, I've never heard of Internet Game, right? But like, other people are like, oh, the Internet Game guy. We did get a lot of the red attention. We were able to raise a bit of money after Internet Game because we did have this really interesting and kind of compelling approach to Web3 consumer social and Web3 kind of experiences and experiments. We're backed by Dragonfly, Delphi Digital, PowerFi, Collab Currency, a number of really great investors like Santiago Santos, Gabby Dazan from YGG, the founder of HQ Trivia is an investor of ours. So a lot of really great people around us. And then for us, we've done a lot of building over the course of the last 2 years, 3 years, depending on how long it's been. But with REKTECH was really built around us asking a question, which was, okay, cool. Internet Game was interesting. There was a lot of really, really great things that we got right with Internet Game, but there was also a lot of things that we got wrong. Timing was one thing, not having a PFP, which I think you can ask me about this later, but I refer to it as like a blessing and a curse. But there was a number of things that we got wrong. So REKTECH basically was built to answer the question of if we kept the good of Internet Game, got rid of the bad, and then took into account the evolutions of the market, like what would we build? And that's really how we got here today.
Okay. And what were the bad parts that had to go away?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that like at the end of the day, like timing in Web3 is incredibly important, right? You think about all the like the AI agents that are coming out today versus in October of last quarter, right? Like it's, oh yeah, you're 6 months too late, man. Yep. No one cares about the nth AI agent, just like no one cared about the 20,000th NFT collection. But at the from a macro perspective, the whole idea of Internet Game was, even though it was very interesting and very cool, we launched in February of 22. The market died in May of 22. Like you were talking about 3 Hours Capital, FTX, what was it? The algorithmic stablecoin, Oquan, and all that kind of stuff. And with that, like all of a sudden the market completely craters, right? Everyone's down bad. Like we did, like most people don't know this, but we did season 2 of Internet Game in July and August of 22. No one really cared. We did season 3.
I saw G Money and
yeah, that was the G Money.
Yeah,
exactly right. So we partnered with G Money for season 2, which was awesome. We had him in this like 3D avatar setup. We built multiplayer games. It was a whole thing. And then we actually even partnered with Lionsgate and we did Internet Game Saw in October of 22. Yeah. Again, no one cared. And I think that goes to show that, like, I joke all the time. I say that crypto is a beach town. And like people don't like that, right? Yeah. Obviously people like are really all like the purists and all that kind of stuff. But the truth is that even right now, like I'm digressing, but when you have the fear and greed index, like even when we did the REKTECH mint, like I'm so happy we did it in retrospect. And Ed was he was being nice, being like, you guys crushed the mint. I was like, we could have done a lot better if the market, like literally the day that we launched our mint, Bitcoin went from 90K to I think 80K in that day. And so even right now, you're seeing kind of all these TGs fail, all these projects are pushing out, et cetera. It's just because to a certain extent, like launching when the fear and greed index is all the way on the left is a really tough thing to do. So yeah, I think timing, especially in this space when everything's really financialized, is a really difficult kind of consideration for a lot of builders.
Yeah, all right, right on. No doubt. And yeah, the fact that you did something like that where you're partnered with Lionsgate, like you're bringing that's not a Web 2 brand, but non-Web 3 brands into the space, and it's something that everybody will recognize, and having nobody pick up on that, like that had to be disappointing, I would imagine,
When
right?
was it
Like
that you partnered with Lionsgate?
In
2022?
October, yeah, October of 22.
Yeah.
That's the time.
And when all the big corporations got into the space.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we're ready now.
oh, that's true. Yeah, so there was a
and it
lot
was
of
like,
noise at that point. Yeah.
It was like every corporation got funding, lined around to see the new Star Wars movie to rape the space, but they couldn't find the right hole. And I know that's so vulgar to say, but anyone in the space would understand what I'm saying. It's like, that's what happened. Lost funding, went down. Then FTX later in November just crushed it. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
this space is brutal. But
It is. The beach town thing, I think, works really well, like as an analogy. And actually, I came into the space when everything was crashing there in 22. That was when I decided to make my entry because I'm a weirdo. And so I lived through all of that kind of everything crashing, doom and gloom, and then that like slow churn period for a while, and then the kind of back up, and now we're doing whatever the hell we're doing right now. But I find it easier to find the more interesting things actually during these slower times because there's not the distraction of the like daily $100 million runner that you got to be like, that is really difficult to ignore even if you don't care about that stuff. So yeah, I tend to like the downtimes in the beach town myself. And I think it's a good time to get a lot of things done, but not a good time to generate a whole bunch of revenue. So
Yeah. It's a trade-off.
difficult.
And I think that to a certain extent, it's one of these things that I think that we consider a lot too, right? Because to a certain extent, it's like, all right, cool, we have this entire plan. You want to start when things are hot, or do you actually want to start when things are on the upswing? Obviously, this is the first quote unquote cycle that is not in a macro bull market and all that kind of stuff. So we actually are in new territory from just a builder perspective, right? I think the whole idea of a 4-year cycle, a lot of people doubt whether that exists anymore. But at the same time, I think that with things like REKTECH, my expectation and my understanding around it is that when things do start to hopefully become more and more popular, I think what you'll see probably towards the, I don't know, next quarter, a quarter after that, I think that we will be a really strong developed brand. And for me, I'm actually very happy with where we are from a timing perspective.
Good. Yeah. And you guys if you launched this latest iteration of it, so we can start getting into that. When there is some hype building around abstract and you're attached to that ecosystem. So let's talk about that. Like going from this, I don't know how you describe it, but like this attempts that you made in 2022 that didn't grab the hype like you wanted through this slow churn period. And now you're coming out launching the Dream Pass. I guess let's go there. Let's talk about launching the Dream Pass just like a month or two ago and what that experience was like.
Yeah. So for sure, I think at the end of the day, we basically see when it comes to Web3, there's something that people talk a lot about, which is like tokenized communities and how the power of tokenized communities, right? Because you can have a community, but your community isn't real until it's quote unquote tokenized. And I think that's actually a really interesting and more unique thing that's actually relegated to Web3 outside of, that doesn't really exist outside of our space in particular. And in less like kind of abstract words, what I mean by that is that when people own an asset that belongs to a particular community, they care about the community more and they care about the project itself more because they actually have some quote unquote skin in the game, right? All of a sudden you own this asset, this asset actually has a value or a price associated with it. And then the performance of said project will actually have some sort of impact on it when it comes to shilling something, telling your friends about something, besides it being like, oh, this is cool. But if your friends actually do get involved in it, it actually does impact you in a very selfish way. So I think that for us, the Dream Pass was really what we refer to as just like the entry into the REKTECH ecosystem. We actually have a bunch of different assets that will be coming out over the course of this year. But the Dream Pass was just like the kind of bottom level entryway, right? Because this protects against things like Sybil, right? Because otherwise you have like this dude creating 10,000 accounts and then just playing across 10,000 accounts. So you actually do need to have some sort of kind of financial barrier for experiences like ours. And then at the same time, it does give people this really interesting way to participate in the REKTECH ecosystem. The interesting thing, I think, is that when it comes to REKTECH and even our seasons and how they work. For example, we had season 1 immediately after the Dream Pass mint, and we gave away a Rolex as the first place prize, like $30,000 Rolex.
That's not
And yeah, right. The person that came, and basically it was four days over four games over 4 days, and basically the person that found themselves in first place after 3 days of gameplay basically sold their pass to someone else for 50 or 60 sold. And the thing is, that was the cool thing, is that the Dream Pass actually carries your position rank, it carries your XP, it carries.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's, again, a very different type of use case. Again, it's a real practical application of NFT technology, which is neat. And so that was really what we did there. But again, like I said, doing a mint during this particular period of time was pretty scary, but nonetheless, we did it.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you guys knew that when you hit the go button, right? So was there a discussion about that? Was there like should we, shouldn't we? Or were you all, no, it's time. Let's get this thing out there.
So it's actually very funny because we actually pushed 2 separate weeks. So basically we were supposed to mint, let's say 2 weeks earlier. Okay. And, but then the whole, like, basically the first time that Trump mentioned tariffs was right around this time, market nukes, right? Then the market, and then he walks back on it a bit and the market recovers. Yeah. And everyone's like, okay, great. And then the following week was the Libra coin thing, right? Yeah. And so literally that happened over the weekend. That happened like Friday into Sunday, and we're supposed to launch that Tuesday. Yeah. And the thing is that like when everyone's down bad, because like, again, everyone looked at Libra as, I miss Trump, I'm not going to miss the Libra coin. I can't remember which country it was from
their
anymore.
Souls ripped out 15 minutes later. Yeah,
exactly, right.
That was the biggest vibe shift I've ever personally felt in this space. Like that day, like people were crushed. Even people that weren't directly involved in it or didn't lose in it. Like just the whole thing seemed to just crush everybody, suck all the energy out of the room.
Because I think it showed something that was something that people talked about a lot, but a lot of people didn't. So I talk about this idea. I used to call it the Great Lie, which was basically this whole idea of NFT projects would come out. They'd be like, hey, 10,000 collection, and then you mint it, and then you get jam-packed utility, access to concerts, and we're going to build a metaverse, and all these kind of crazy promises with this like one-time sale, right? Like this one-time sale, and that's it. And it was, and I'm just like,
6 months. It'll be great. Yeah,
exactly. And so that was like the version of that. And with NFTs. And with meme coins, what ended up happening was that like effectively what you had was this kind of overcorrection to just like pure vapor, right? And people were like, oh, this is fair, this is equitable, all that kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden meme coins start to grow in hype. And then what do you have? You have snipers, you have the whole kind of vape cabal thing where basically you just are exit liquidity. So then I think a lot of people, what they realized was like, all right, cool, meme coins aren't the answer either, but we thought this was the answer. So if it isn't the VC coins that are launching at $1 billion market cap and we're just getting dumped on by VCs, and then if it isn't NFTs that promise the jam-packed utility, but then it isn't meme coins either, then it's just, what is it? Yeah. And so I think that was the really tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's spot on.
My thoughts on that are very similar. You had Book of Meme happen, and then there was this whole meta. When I can even share, I think it was Zach XBT, he does all the investigations. It was literally Book a Meme, and then the pre-sale meta started, and every single project was basically a rug. And then meme coin started, and it's become this kind of PvP crazy bullshit that's gotten more parasitic as time goes on. The way people trade NFTs are so different now. They trade it the same way. It's like mint, flip, mint. It's just so quick. It's high school with a magnifying glass in terms of greed and everything. Everything's amplified in this space. I've been saying it for a while now. We need like this win together meta to start. And that would really help, because I'll bring up Josh Ong again. He posted 2 months ago. If we would just work together, we could all win. But getting people to actually do that is very difficult.
No, for sure. And as a builder who has assets, and I'm just like, hey, like, don't list your asset before floor, like below the thing, like below the price you minted it for. But people are like, no, and you're like, all right, this is bad for me and you. What are you gonna do? And I think that there's just definitely like a lack of trust. And I think even with meme coins, like the thing that I think a lot of people just like for some reason don't understand, but it's like, if you make $25 on a meme coin, you like literally are taking it from someone else. Yeah, and I don't think that idea. I think LPs very much make that kind of concept very opaque, and so it's a very interesting space. And again, we're digressing heavily from.
Yeah, no, it's all good because this all goes into thinking. And actually, I could see your thinking on this showing up in the game. in the Dev Will Rug game.
Yeah.
Which I just is not it's not open right now, so I can't show it. But the way I play Dev Will Rug, this is one of the games in the like that you cycle through every couple of days, is like literally just waiting for any kind of spike to get the hell out because I just want to get something. I just want to get mine. And that's literally how it ended up being in that space, right? It wasn't like, oh, I'm interested in this thing, or I think this has a cool community, or I think that even I think this is a cool story, it could turn into something. It was literally like, oh, I think other people might buy this, so I'm going to put my money in and I'm going to try to pull it out before I get screwed.
Right.
And I think the idea has always been for people in crypto, you can get rich quick here, right? There's a lot of people coming here because of that exact notion, but like for that 3-month period, we saw it happening every day. Like it was literally true every day. If you pick the right coin on the right day at the right time and you get out at the right time, you could literally change your life today, and it happened every day. And I felt because people were seeing it happen and that they were missing every day. And I think that kind of led into that Libra like soul sucking that we felt was just every day people knew they were losing. Every day I had an opportunity to change my life and I didn't.
It was the one that you didn't. It was the one you didn't pick.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, like it's all gamed. I think people somewhat knew that, but that was the proof.
So, did you by chance see that thing that went? I'm about to curse right now, but hopefully it's okay.
That's fine.
Did you see?
Told
did you
you
guys
no
see that
rules.
thing? Pump
Oh,
fucked.
fucking good.
Did you see? Did you guys see Pump Fucked or no?
I came across it when I was digging through your stuff, but talk about it because I didn't dig into it.
That was like a thing that we did, and frankly, like both, it was part art, but if you want to check it out, it's pumpfuck.com. And basically, what we did was we basically made a website that was a Solana wallet scanner, or analyzer, right? You could plug in any Solana wallet, and then it would spit out like a Spotify Wrapped like experience for all of your pump fund trades. And basically, what it showcased was like and then it also made fun of you a little bit. Yeah, there you go. There it is right there. And so you could drop in a wallet and then you could analyze your pump fund trades. And this thing got over 1 million impressions. It had over 20,000 wallets analyzed, right? We built it in 2-3 weeks. But the idea, generally speaking, was that we wanted to showcase that like, hey, one is, are you enjoying meme coins or are you like actually addicted to them? Because you just think that next one is the one that's going to make you win. But then the second thing that we were showcasing was that like, you're actually doing nowhere near as well as you think you are. And in fact, this is also the kind of the craziest thing is that we also have this leaderboard on the right where you look at all these top winners. Obviously no one else has this data, but we had a chance of looking through it. We didn't do anything nefarious with the wallets or anything like that. But the point is that number one wallet, all of that sold, that 45,000 sold, that was off one trade, which was Peanut, right? So that person just so happened to be early to Peanut and they made everything on Peanut. So it's not like this person is like good, like they make 10,000 here, 5,000 here. It's just like they just absolutely crushed it on one trade. And you saw that across like literally the top 20. You didn't have these people that were just constantly good. And I think that was the thing is that it's just like most people literally were either like barely up or barely down was like the bell curve. It's just that you had outliers, but you had people that were just barely up or barely down, which is that kind of thing that we found from the data.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense to me. And it matches my personal experience. I'm not a huge meme coin trader, but yeah, I would lose a little on 10, 15 in a row, and then I'd hit on one and it'd get me back to even or maybe a little higher. And I'd be all excited and I'd do it again.
Exactly. But that's also, I think that it's actually cool to show that because we actually don't talk about that much. And even this is, again, from a more macro level or from like a theory perspective, a big thing that we talk about with REKTECH and something that I don't think is too clear to people just yet is that when we talk about REKTECH and the platform and this whole kind of game show like experience, we really do refer to that as like the kind of centerpiece of REKTECH. For us, I think what's going to be really interesting that people start to see, especially over the course of the coming months, is that we're going to be doing increasingly more of these like drop like experiences. And because if you think about what meme coins are, and like I referenced the kind of the overcorrection from NFTs into meme coins, or even like vapor tech into meme coins, is that you basically have a market that's very comfortable with what I refer to as ephemeral experiences, right? So you think about the NFT cycle, and it was just like, it was all about permanence, and it was about community, and it was about like, oh, you bought this NFT once, and you're going to have it forever, and this project's going to exist forever. With meme coins, people don't care if meme coins exist for a day, a week, a month, a year. Like, they don't care. And so I think that's a very different type of market than we had last cycle. And for us, I think a lot of our theory going into this cycle is really around this whole idea of like, how do you build for ephemeral experiences when it matters, and how do you build for consistency and like permanence when it matters. And so you look at the kind of two major asset classes that you have, and you do have NFTs, which are really all about community and depth and permanence. And then you do have things like meme coins, which are really about ephemerality. And I think the question is like, how do you use like, and momentum, I should say. So it's like, how do you actually utilize meme coins for momentum and then NFTs for depth, but then have it tailored around a really kind of high quality product, which is our game show.
Yeah, right on. So let's talk about the game show in particular. And actually, I'm going to pull up what you got live right now. Just the main one, not the one that you set up for the show here today. But I kind of want to talk through what's going on here and what people can experience on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, there you go.
So I know what I like. I'll say what I like about it, and you could talk about what you guys are going for in all these different spaces. So the number one thing I like about it is it's like quirky and it's fun and like it's a game. So just like you said that, that wallet check at the pumpfuck.com, that was an art piece too, right? Like you guys were doing it. It's fun. It's part of the brand and everything else, but you're also like, you're communicating something, right? That's what we do with art. We try to communicate something. And I feel like there's a lot of that going on here with the way the games are styled and everything else. Yeah. I wish that the DevWool rug was live right now so I could show it to anyone who hasn't seen it yet. But it's basically like you buy the token and it kicks off on the things you're just watching the chart, and then it rugs. It goes to zero. Exactly. And the whole goal is to make some money and get out of there before the dev rugs, because the dev will rug. And of course, we got our good friend Hayden here as the mascot for the game, which I love. So again, that's like the messaging, like there's stuff in here. Again, like we said, Alpha Type, we're going to talk to people who actually care about the space. And like that shows through that you guys care about what's going on and you're commenting on what's going on in the game. So I think that's really cool. The other thing that I like a lot about it is it's quick hits. I can come in here, I could see what fun thing you got out there today. I can just click around, I could do my thing, I could play for a long time if I feel like, I could play for a minute if I feel like, and it's still like I still did it. It still contributes. I still picked up some XP and had a little fun, and now I can go off and go back to what I was doing. So it provides like that nice little opportunity for a break, if you will, which I think is a cool thing to have in the space.
No, you nailed it. And that was actually one of the reasons that we even were excited to change our name, because like you think about like Web3 gaming, and like Web3 gaming has turned into, it's basically spend your time for money. It's time for money. And so like now that's why you have like Web3 gaming and like all these games on Ronin, which is, oh yeah, if you want to like farm this, you can, but it's going to require 8 hours of your day to do this. And for us, I think there's two components here. There's two things that we say. One is that like, crypto is global, but it's small. And so the number one thing is, how do you cater to a global audience? And like one of the ways that we do that is asynchronous, right? And the whole idea is that, all right, cool, we have 24-hour play periods. Each game only takes 5 minutes. That's like a really interesting thing here. And then the second thing is that, like a game like this, which is read the room.
Perfectly asynchronous,
Yeah, so it's just like you play when you want, and you're playing against thousands of other people. If there's a chat room and it's interesting, there's a conversation that can be had around it. But this is also kind of something that's a little bit more like what I refer to as like a crypto native question, which is like, all right, cool, you have a bunch of crypto natives. You're asking them, hey, do you want to hold like the kind of most bullish tech stock, or would you rather hold Bitcoin? And so it's something where it's like you said, it's quick, it's easy. You can spend 30 seconds playing, 5 minutes playing, or you can spend 8 hours playing. It's really up to you. We're not forcing people to sit in a chair and play for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, right on. And that was like, so Death Race, that was one where you're just picking, I don't even know what I'm picking. I'm picking like a bubble, and either I get the skull or I don't. You see how high up you get. It's just a fun little mindless game to, like
What's
I said,
the game that's live on Abstract? If you go to Abstract, on play now. Yeah, so you got Blackjack today.
Oh, yeah. So, got my wallet. I won one bet earlier.
Nice.
Place a bet.
Oh, there
take
you go.
a hit.
Oh, no.
And we'll stay.
You're going to stay on a 12.
No, I shouldn't have stayed. See, I'm in interview mode. I'm not in blackjack mode.
Yeah, that's funny.
So we'll leave that be.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's great, and it's cool looking. It's inviting, right? You got colors, you got stuff going on here. It's a well laid out site in general. And obviously, like I said, you're tying in with Abstract. There's some hype building up there now. Maybe some people might argue it was a slow start for them, but I think they started the way they wanted to. And I think every day there's something new going on in Abstract. Something getting a little bit more attention, and I think they're really starting to build up there. And you guys are right in there, so I think that's great.
Yeah, they are.
And it was brilliant to port some games to there too, because then the streaming is just a marketing mechanism that pushes it out even more, and the time spent on Abstract gains points. It's good. They're in a good place, especially with the market conditions. Let me ask you a question. your role at REKTECH, are you a dev? What exactly is it that you do? And then also,
Yeah.
what made you build on Solana at first? Like, why was that the mint?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, no, I'm one of the founders of REKTECH. I started with my co-founder, Jordan. He's more technical. I talk for a living. I'm just the guy that kind of gets on camera and smiles. But no, generally speaking, I really am the kind of outward facing person. I really handle all our kind of commercialization efforts, marketing efforts, legal efforts, operational efforts, investor relations, all that kind of stuff. So that's generally speaking my skill set. I've been I've been like effectively a tech operator for the last 12 years and had a lot of various non-technical roles. We're a team of 15. So I would say our team is like very high quality, right? Like you go on the REKTECH platform and generally speaking, I know that you were running some issues earlier, but generally speaking, it works very well, right? That abstract tournament has 17,000 people playing. So it's one of these things where it just works. And that's like a thing that I think is the reputation that we have that kind of precedes us is that we are just like a very high quality product that just works really well. And that's actually goes a long way in Web3. When it comes to, so this is actually a really interesting note that you also asked about, which was like Solana or why Solana, et cetera. So I think that one of the big changes that needs to take place, at least as a builder, is that to a certain extent, what you have going on in Web3 right now is like very similar to what happened with the console wars back with video games in like the 90s and frankly 2000s, where it's just, like you're a PlayStation game or you're a Nintendo game or you're a Xbox game or you're just like whatever may have you game. But then you start to see a lot of video games over the course of time go cross-platform because it's just like, why limit yourself? So I think that you're really combining two different kind of concepts here. One is that basically, all right, cool, we are in Web3, so you do need to have tokenized assets, right? You need to have tokenized assets because that's what creates real community and that's what gets people excited about you because they quote unquote have some skin in the game. And so if you're going to have a tokenized asset, I think then really as a builder, you have to ask yourself a number of questions. It's like, where do you build? And you have a couple different options, right? You have obviously ETH mainnet, which I would say today doesn't make as much sense as it did last cycle. So then you also have L2s, right? But then with L2s, what you have is friction, right? So it's okay, yeah, you have cheaper fees, but at the same time, the whole idea of bridging and all that kind of stuff gets a little confusing. A lot of people would just be like, oh, wait, this project's cool. Oh, it's on Avalanche. I don't have any money on Avalanche. I'm just not going to do it. For me, I think one thing that was really important to us was this idea of having an L1, like being on an L1 chain, but then also having cheaper transaction fees and all that kind of stuff. So I think it makes Solana a very kind of obvious choice. But I think that when it comes to REKTECH, I say that like we can be like, our assets can be based on a particular chain, but we as a platform are cross-platform, right? So I think seeing us on Abstract makes complete sense. I think seeing us on a different chain can make complete sense, right? I don't see a reason to limit us at all. And that's the other thing that I'll say just really quickly on it is that the weirdest thing about Web3 and specifically chains is that they're also echo chambery, right? So even both of you guys, like you go on crypto Twitter, obviously you see your friends and all that kind of stuff, but generally speaking, the content that you will see will be largely related to the chain that you frequent the most, right? So there's like people that are like obsessed with Eclipse, which is a SVM on ETH L2 type thing. And all they see is Eclipse content all day long. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Abstract, same thing with Berachain, same thing with Monad, same thing with Solana, same thing with Base, right? There's so many projects on Base that are all crushing it. And but I see no Base content whatsoever because I don't see much out of anything there. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the kind of long-winded answer for you about like how we think about chains and assets versus platforms.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I was just curious, but yeah, of course, because you're on every chain. I feel the same way too. Plus, I have people like that I'm friends with that have 140,000 followers, and all they care about is XRP, which is so fucking weird to me.
It's real.
But whatever, they have a huge following and they're in the game. It was surprising when I met them to see that, but I think it's great. Actually, when you minted, I was like, what is this? And why is it doing so right now? And then I asked about it in that one specific group that I'm in, which is the best of Web3. And they're like, oh, we know him. So it gave a lot of credibility to the project. But at the same time, regardless, I think you did really good for the time. And then when things get better, it's only going to do better. But yeah, it's incredible what you're building. I'm pretty excited about it. I actually think I'm able to log in now. I think it's my laptop, not your app. So don't worry about it. I've been having trouble. That's why I asked if you were a dev or not, because I'm actually like you. That's my role. Some other ones too. But I was working on a dev project for the first time for someone for the past 2 weeks, and I've had a migraine every day. I've been saying the F words. I'm like punching my laptop, and I basically destroyed my laptop. Like I have to probably reformat and do everything, so everything's broken. tried to open MetaMask crashed. Like everything's broken now. So it's been so frustrating. But yeah, and then I wanted to ask you another question too. In terms of playtime, Git said, "Oh, I could play for 30 seconds. I can go for some hours or whatever. It doesn't really matter." Let me ask you, in terms of rewards, does rewards favor the grind? What do rewards favor? Is it random?
No, it's performance. And so that's actually the thing that like I care about a lot, which I'm giving away some alpha here, but it's totally fine. So what I'm basically very interested in, like over the course of time, is if you think about what the two, where there's the most product market fit in Web3, there's two specific areas. And one of them is basically what we refer to as speculation, but more or less as gambling, right? It's just like this NFT will go up, this meme coin will go up. Yeah. Did I bet right? Did I bet wrong? And then, so that's gambling is on one side of the fence. And then the other side of the fence is effectively DeFi. But I think what the interesting thing is that these are very different types of kind of vehicles where it's just like someone could make a bunch of money in Pump Fund and they could take it and put it into Jito and earn the 5, 7, 8%, but they don't. They just put it right back into Pump Fund. But what if there was a world where you could actually combine a very kind of like sexy front of house with a more business back of house? And so what I'm talking about here is this whole idea of imagine a world where one day you're playing REKTECH and instead of paying to enter in it, you're actually just staking $10. And in fact, what I say to you is, hey, like stake $10 to access REKTECH. And in fact, the day that you're done playing, I'll give you your $10 back, but I'll actually give you $10.02 back. I will give you more money than you gave me. And for us, I think the whole idea here is that what I'm really trying to uncover is like, how do you actually have a world where you don't have one winner and 99 losers, but one winner and 99 people that didn't win that week? It's a very different idea. And I think that what's cool about this, and I already see it with REKTECH, because again, REKTECH was inexpensive, right? Relative, like people lose significantly more on a meme coin. The idea around it is that like when someone does win in REKTECH, no one's, oh, screw this guy or screw you. I can't believe, like no one's upset when they lose in REKTECH. They congratulate the winner and they say next week's my week. And so that is
fun,
yeah, exactly, right? And the fun has value. And so for me, what we're really trying to explore here is this idea of like, how do you actually create value through fun such that it actually is worth more than the money that you spent, even if you never win? And so that's generally speaking the idea. And I think what's cool about REKTECH and our kind of unique secret sauce, which is one game per day, each game's open for 24 hours, each game only takes 5 minutes. But the truth is like, we had a game during season 1 where you had to pick the least popular. That was all, you had 3 options. The 3 options were Backstreet Boys, COVID-19, and puppies. And that was it. And you just had to pick the least popular one. And so it was like, oh, I'm Team Puppies, I'm Team Backstreet Boys. I can't remember I think it might have been Backstreet Boys or Puppies that one. I don't remember. But the point is that, okay, yeah, you picked Team Puppies because you and your friends and you were talking to people in the community being like, okay, I think everyone's going COVID-19, I'm going to go puppies. It's as simple as that, but it's just like you click the right button. That's really what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah, no, I like it. And I think that hopefully, I feel like I have starting to see a little bit more of this, and Abstract is a place where I'm seeing it, is that people should be willing to also pay for fun, right? I'm buying fun, I'm buying entertainment. Like I'm admittedly, just like anybody else, I want to make some money while I'm here. But for the most part, I'm looking for shit that's interesting, that's fun, that's doing things in a different way. Like you talked about the NFT utility. It's subtle, but the XP accruing on the NFT and then being sellable, that's cool. I like that. I like those new little wrinkles and elements. And I'm personally, as a consumer, very willing to spend money to have that experience, to spend money to do that experiment, play around with your platform. And I'm hoping we see more and more of that. And like I said, I feel like on Abstract, you're starting to see a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. Like the 77-bit game that's been really big the last couple weeks. Yeah, there's an element of people trying to achieve a thing, and there's some hope that might pay off someday. But people are having fun playing the game. I'm watching it happen. And hopefully we get more of that.
I'm going to private chat with one of the founders of Runiverse. There was an item sold today, land, $32,000.
Yeah, it's wild. You can have fun and then later on sell your land for $32K.
Goblin Town, that game is coming out. Win. The DMV pass is AJT. But so I'm looking at the stats on this. You just did not like 3 shy of 9,000, right? You got 1.
Oh no, yeah, that's a weird. It is 9,000, but I don't know. Okay. Magic Eden's weird,
so
yeah. But
only 1.4% listed. You're above floor. I believe it was only 0.1. What was it?
No, right now it's down. What's weird is that it's actually one whale. So it's like it's just this whale that's basically just selling. So we were at 0.25 or 0.2, 0.25. And so, yeah, like we were like at our height, we were like 0.6. And yeah, now we're selling like a bit below, but it's all from one account. So I'm excited for
Yeah.
that to get
What
exhausted.
happened with Killer Girlfriend when one of the whales sold and it just never came back. But what I'm saying is the stats are really good, so it speaks for itself.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
for
whale
sure.
doing it, it's fine, but the stats are really good. You know what I mean? I actually just bought one, so I'll be doing
Thank
that
you.
too.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I was looking
check
at it, the
the
stats
XP,
are really
you gotta
good.
buy it
I
with
wish
some
I had a
XP
collection
on
with
it.
only 1.4% sold. No, this is
Yeah, but-
definitely one of the most interesting projects.
That means a lot, man. Yeah, I will say that people are like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that people, like, don't get me wrong, people might own 3 or 4, right? And you can actually switch between each pass, right? You can actually like play on pass 1, pass 2, pass 3, pass 4 really easily. But a lot of people, they buy these assets to play. And I think that's the major difference here is that there's actually something that you can do today with the asset as opposed to just, no one's buying it to flip it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, except for this whale, I guess.
Except for that one.
Inverse
Right.
flipping it.
Are you okay on time? Because now with our false start, you're
Yeah,
good for a
yeah,
little bit
we're
long.
good.
I don't want to keep you forever. If you get
No,
sick
no,
of us,
it's
tell
all
us
good.
time's
I'm
up.
having a
But
good
I'm
time.
having fun and I got more
Yeah.
questions. So let's talk about what's happening from here, right? So you got the game launched, you mint it, game's launched, people are showing up, they are having fun. You seem to be having fun. I know you've got the Dreamers Mint coming down the road. You've got other stuff on the roadmap already that you guys are working on. So talk us through what happens from here.
Yeah, I think one thing in particular is like, at the end of the day, like we're managing our time as best we can, right? The cool thing about REKTECH is that because the tech is high quality in its nature, like for us to spin up a season, or even again like the abstract thing is running right now. We've been running it for a while. We have some really exciting, what I'll refer to as partner tournaments that are coming up that are pretty massive. I can't talk about them just yet, but like when I say that they're basically what I'm trying to say is that we're going to have a very busy end of April into pretty much all of May, which is really exciting. A lot of these really great partner tournaments with, frankly, some of the biggest projects out there, which is going to be cool with a lot of really opportunity, high stakes kind of experiences for people. So that's going to be one thing. And I think the other thing is that to a certain extent, like we talk about timing a lot, right? There's timing in the sense of, oh, we were too late. And then there's timing in the sense of, oh, we were too early. So I think that to a certain extent, something that we're actually trying to manage is like, how do we actually move at an appropriate pace while giving people things to do, building a bunch of new games, allowing for things like wagering, all of that kind of stuff are going to come out. And then from there, we talk about going into the Dreamer PFP. And the Dreamer PFP is actually like also something that I'm really excited about because what we've done is something it's never been done before, at least in the way that I understand it. So what we've done is we've built over 4,000 traits for the Dreamer PFP. But what's interesting about it is each individual trait is on chain. And so you can actually like Mr. Potato Head your PFP such that you can actually make it more rare through basically getting cooler traits. The cooler the trait, the more rare it is, the higher multiplier it has. And so what's going to be really interesting here is that I actually think that this will actually invite an entirely new segment of people into REKTECH, where they're not people that want to play in the daily game. They don't care about playing Devil Rug, but they do really care about kind of the whole PFP collection. And to a certain extent, right now you think about the PFP meta that was very static. It's like you minted a good one or you didn't, right? You did a reveal and you got a floor one or you got a Grails one and there's nothing you can really do about it.
Yep.
But for now, what you can do with us is that you can actually get your start wherever you are. And then basically you can actually make your PFP cooler. You can actually even sell an individual asset. Let's say this hat. You can be like, hey, I got this hat. I have a cool hat that I'm happy with. I can sell it to somebody else. So we'll have our own marketplace specifically for our own assets as well.
Yeah, very nice.
So that's
So
gonna be coming
dynamic PFPs that change and upgrade over time depending on
yeah.
your rank and
Exactly. And it basically can have an impact on your rank. So you've been playing, right? So that you have a multiplier. If you played every day, you have a 1.3x multiplier, right? But if you have a maxed out Dreamer, it's a 10x multiplier.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
so basically it increases it like basically opens up an entire new multiplier level where now all of a sudden people are going to have 5x multipliers, 7x multipliers, 2x multipliers based off of the asset that they have. And they can constantly improve it through either winning loot boxes, buying loot boxes, or getting them from someone else. So that's going to be, and again, I'm very excited about it because again, like I said, and we have some really obviously interesting people involved with the project, but I think that there's going to be an entire segment of people that participate in REKTECH and only do the PFP game. It's effectively like a meta game around PFP management as opposed to the Devil Rug, Blackjack, Death Ray style game.
Yeah, no, I love it. A little bit of something for everybody. That's what you want to be able to do, right? off you're building a community. So I love that. And then does the gameplay now lead into that PFP, or is that just a completely separate thing? Are you guys doing like whitelist competitions? What's the plan there?
Exactly. So basically we have the whole XP leaderboard, right? And like, Ed, this is actually something that's pretty cool, right? Like you bought a Dream Pass just now, right? You could have bought a floor one, but there's also people out there that you could have bought a top 1,000 Dream Pass, right? And what I mean by that is that each Dream Pass already has a certain amount of XP on it. It could be 0 XP or it could be like 500 XP. And so the idea is that what's going to happen is the top 1,000 people on the XP leaderboard are all allow listed for the Dreamer. But then what's going to happen is then we'll have a public sale. I think it's going to be, like we'll have a public sale whenever we do that as well. And the collection's not going to be that large. It's going to be a relatively small collection. And
is that data in the traits?
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, I got to look at the traits. Yeah, you have
Maybe you got
17
lucky.
people holding 50 plus.
Yeah, no, because people, like, I will say that we definitely have like our 1,000 true fans. There's people who they loved internet game, and they love rec. So there's people that during our seasons, they probably don't do it during the daily game and all that kind of stuff, but during their seasons, there's people that are literally playing with 80 Dream Passes. They'll play with Dream Pass 1, Dream Pass 2, Dream Pass 3. So
Yeah, that's legit.
yeah.
Nice. Awesome. And you said you're not sure on the timing of that yet? You're kind of waiting to see how things shake out here?
Yeah, again, like you talk about, oh shit, if the market didn't tank the way that it did, because you saw something like Good Vibes Club, right? Good Vibes Club, okay, cool. This Doodles like 3D PFP collection. It's, oh shit, NFTs are back. And then it's like, market tanks to God, just
invisible friends.
Put together.
Made love and had a baby and crushed it. Yeah.
And they crushed it. And I think that they're trading a bit lower now, but it makes sense. And so I think that to a certain extent, you do want to see a little bit of, you want people to feel good. I'll say it again. I've probably said it in a number of different ways, but like a lot of Web3 it's a beach town. Another thing I'll say is that there's like things that are like kind of euphoria games, and there's things that are not. I think that NFT trading is generally speaking a euphoria game, right? It's just like you want to speculate on a JPEG when the market is up and to the right and when you're feeling good about stuff, as opposed to, do I really want to take my liquidity and put it into this JPEG right now? So I think that to a certain extent, so it's a bit market dependent. And I think it's one of those things where we had to get the show on the road, which is why we launched even after Libra. Like we waited one more week and then we launched, and we're still able to do decently well. But I think that with something like the Dreamer PFP, I think that we want to time it well.
Good, because I'm in like 2,000th place. I got some work to do anyways to get on top 1,000. I'll make that happen. No, this is great, man. This is the kind of stuff that we love in this space. Again, unique, new, try new stuff. What do you got, Ed? You got another question?
Yeah, just one more quick question. I'm interested because, and I think viewers would be interested too, but I'm particularly interested. What was the process like for you during this market to get funding? Did you get additional funding when this launched, or as a founder, because right now it's probably rough. A lot of people moved on to AI. So if you could just explain that.
No, if I'm being fully transparent, we haven't raised money since 2022. We've been thoughtful about our spend. And yeah, I will say that it is a really interesting market when it comes to things like venture right now, just because I think that it's just like, what does the market reward? And I think that at the same time, being like an enduring product in Web3 is a very difficult thing, right? You think about a lot of kind of consumer projects are cool for a week. And I think that there's a number of reasons behind this, right? You look at something like Yapster. Yapster was super, super cool about a month and a half ago. And they had some technical challenges. It was limited. The meme coin price went up and then down, and now no one cares, right? You look at things like, I don't know, like Tribe.fun, which was like the new kind of friend tech, and like it had like a week in the sun and then disappeared. And I think it's just because the cycles on it are really quick. And I think VCs have been so burned by that it's really difficult for them to get conviction with a very small sample size of data. And even for us, like that's the other thing, like Git was saying in terms of timelines, right? It's like we could have gone into season 2 right away, but we didn't, right? Because I think the answer is not to be we're a platform that you're just on every day, or it's purely seasonal, but it's something in between the two. So it's something that there's probably people that will only play in seasons of REKTECH, and there's people that play in the daily game. And I think like having the ability to oscillate between those two is something that allows us to remain constant. I know I'm digressing a bit, but I guess my point is that it's a difficult time for, I think, a lot of consumer projects and because again, there haven't been that many answers previously that have worked too well, whether it's Web3 gaming or consumer. And you still see a ton of funding going towards chains, even though we have, I don't know how many L1s or L2s now. So it's a complicated thing, but it's just a very different game for generating IRR for a fund.
Yeah. No, definitely tough times. And like you said, there's not been a ton of things that have worked out and lasted. And then, I don't know, just if you're watching from the outside, my investment didn't work out. And then I'm seeing shit like Libra token happen and Trump token happen and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I could see people being really cautious with going in hard on that for sure.
Definitely interesting.
No, but like I was saying, it's a really cool project. I'm glad to see that you guys are getting attention. It's deserved, something new. What should the listener be doing right now? What's a simple thing? Get a Dream Pass and come out and play, or what's the call to action here?
Yeah, I would say that, again, like the Dream Passes obviously everything's relative, but I find them to be very affordable, especially right now. I would say that
$20 right now. I think it's a 0.2-ish, a little less than 0.2. Yeah.
And I always say that, like, when it comes to REKTECH, I can't promise you that you'll win, right? We have season 2. There's a Pudgy Penguin and probably a bunch of penguin assets that we'll have on the line. And I'll say that's just one of the kind of crazy things that are starting to happen over the course of the next 2-3 weeks. Yeah, getting a Dream Pass or 2 or 3, depending on your appetite, is a great way to get involved. We're here for the long run, and like we have a very long roadmap ahead of us and a ton of really interesting things that are coming. And yeah, we have our stripes as builders, right? So I think a lot of people, they're concerned about rugs or concerned about projects that'll die and all that kind of stuff, and we don't really fit into that realm. I always say people are looking for like a fun project and a good horse to bet on. I don't know a better one than us.
Yeah, right on. You've been doing it for 3-4 years at this point. Lindy Effect says we should at least get 3 or 4 more years out of here. That's the way that works.
At the very least, I'm gonna go till I'm 50.
I know you're thinking more than that, I'm sure, but I'm just saying most projects don't last that long. So yeah, I think you guys are a safe bet to take a flyer on, especially for $20. You're gonna get $20 out of fun on this if you use it, and if you don't, then whatever. You spent $20. It's all good.
You spent it on worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So give it a whirl. That's what I say. I got mine. I play. I really do enjoy it. Now, I appreciate what you guys are doing, but I'm actually like legit getting enjoyment out of playing it. The game's kind of just the concept of it make me chuckle. It's entertaining. You guys are doing a great job. So thank you for that. Thank you for contributing to the ecosystem, and thank you for spending the time with us today, man. Really appreciate it. It was great chatting with you. Anything we can ever do to help, you got a friend in Alpha Type. We're here for you. Just let us know. And just keep doing it, man. It's awesome.
Thank you again. This is a great conversation. Thank you for having me.
Right on.
I'm hunting for one with good stats right now.
So if
I found a good one before this, I'm gonna get it before you do.
Yeah, and then in the Discord, there's actually a buy and sell. There's a channel. There's a channel in the Discord for buy and sell where people do it OTC. So you could also do that as well.
Nice.
You said Discord. It's hard with the Discords. I feel like Discord was for gaming, and then everything has to have a Discord, and it's like
it's a whole thing, man.
Discords, but I think Slack would be good, but you're not going to pay $8 for each person. You know,
I know.
There's no funding right now, but yeah, this was great, man. Pleasure to meet you. You're fucking awesome, and I'm going to hunt for some rares and start doing this daily. I think you built something in this space. You have to be innovative, and you talk about fear and greed. It's like, when it's complete fear, innovation is the only thing that's going to drive the market. When it's greed, imitation drives the market. So
interesting.
That's where you hit it, and that's where you're doing good. And size of the team doesn't matter if it's quality. We saw that with Elon taking over an X. Look how many people he got rid of, and it's still going along great. But yeah, this is incredible. So appreciate you spending extra time with us.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I had a great time. This is a really great conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel the same way. And to all you still hanging out with us, we'll be back again. Oh, I don't even know what day it is today. Today's Thursday, right? We'll be back again on Tuesday with Bosu Kev. Final Bosu is minting tomorrow or Monday as the public mint. Whatever it is, it'll be done.
Public mint is Monday. We're meeting with the founder on Tuesday, which will be insane. And I can't
believe he said he would meet with us the day after the mint. I'm a founder of his launch projects, and I would say, fuck you if someone asked me.
Oh, there's
I'm glad he said yes, because the day after a mint is like, there's a lot going on. So, you know, he's got more balls than I do, but we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should make for an interesting conversation, to say the least. And then we're off next Thursday, and we'll be back the following week. But yeah, with the exception of next Thursday, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, always bringing you good founders like this. Caesar, definitely one of the good ones, man. Thanks again for the 17th time. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you all.
One of the best. Hopefully the video
on soundness.
There you go.